Guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to check out another brand new 2022 Schleich release, and this is the second to last, unfortunately. As far as the, current releases go, they usually release a few things randomly through the middle of the year, but as far as their current releases go that have been unveiled for 2022, this is the second to last with only the Majungasaurus left, but this is the Nothosaurus, and honestly, it is a beautiful looking figure here in hand. It has far exceeded my expectations, and this is definitely one of the figures I was most excited about. Actually, this one and the Majungasaurus would probably be my two most anticipated 2022 Schleich releases, and I'm really psyched to see how good this figure looks in hand. We don't have very many figures out there of this species, so having one as nice as this from Schleich is definitely absolutely awesome. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this figure right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can straight away see how nice the scale detail of the figure is, and Schleich immediately has done one thing that I love about their figures, and that's include the dark wash. Yes, the dark wash highlights each and every one of these scales beautifully on the head of the figure, and you can see that there's quite a bit of difference as far as the different scales and everything go here on the head. A lot of really nice detailing has been applied to this Nothosaurus, and you can see the eyes are painted very nicely with a black. They also sport a glossy look to them. You can see the nostrils as well right there. And our Nothosaurus is sculpted with its mouth in an open position. You can see those trademark teeth there of the animal, and you can also see the inside of the mouth sports a very nice look to the tongue, kind of like a little bit of like color variation in there, as we have some like pinks, some light grays, and then kind of like a black running down the center of the tongue. So it's pretty cool to see quite a bit of color variation there on the tongue. And you can also see that that dark wash has been applied to the inside of the mouth, which you can see very nicely there on the inside of the upper jaw. Very nice detailing in there. As you lead down the course of the neck, you can see again all sorts of scales here running down the neck, all highlighted beautifully with that very nice dark wash, and you can see a really smooth transition there as we lead to the underside with kind of like a light tan here for the underside of the animal. Yet again, that dark wash is present, and you can see how nice it looks here on the underside of the lower jaw, leading down through the course of the throat, and then down into the chest region of the animal. It looks so incredibly appealing and so lifelike as far as how they've highlighted all of those scales, as well as, again, just the sheer amount of detail included in those scales. Very, very reptilian-like scaling through the course of this figure. It looks absolutely awesome, and I love the sculpt and position of the body, because you can kind of take this as it's swimming along, because it almost appears to be swimming, or it really does appear to be swimming, or maybe it's sunbathing. You really don't know. I guess that's up to you to decide, but I really like the positioning of the legs. And then leading down here into the body, you can start to see some very cool light gray spots showing up here on the back, and I think the coloration of the figure as well is really nice and potentially natural again for the species. You can kind of make out here as I turn it the spinal column there running along the back of the animal, and then as you lead out here into the leg, you can see again some nice muscle definition as well as some more incredible scale detail leading out into the foot, and you can see how the scale detail kind of changes as you lead out into the foot. And you have the really cool looking foot sculpt and a beautiful transition from the darker gray to that kind of lighter gray out there on the edges of the toes, and you can also see that we have some very nicely painted nails with a black, and they have a nice glossy look. Even the undersides look fantastic. You can see those webbed feet. Very nice detailing here, even the undersides of the legs in general. Look at how nice those scales look and how beautifully they pop on the sculpt. Absolutely awesome paintwork and detailing here. You can see a much larger scaling here to the stomach region, of course, as well as the Schleich brand title and everything right there. But you can see, again, that the scale detail here on the underside looks absolutely awesome. A very different look for the stomach and chest region as far as the scale detail goes. And you can also see, just in general, like some really nice movement shown when it comes to the way that the skin appears on the animal. And then leading out here into the leg again, it looks incredible. You can almost feel like you can see the bone structure there in the leg of the Nothosaurus. And then leading out into the foot, you can again see the toes and everything look very nice, some more of that dark wash. And then up here, you can see the same look as far as the sculpting and paintwork here to the rear leg as what we had seen on the initial leg. Again, really natural transition to the light gray out there on the toes, the very nicely painted nails. You can also see some fantastic scale detail here in the stomach region of the Nothosaurus, and again, some more of those nice grayish spots up here on the top, that nice designing that we have. And then as you lead out into the tail, you can again see that those spots continue until we start to get a little further out onto the tail, and then they completely taper off, and we have nothing but the grayish tone of color out here. So it seems like these spots are primarily located here in the main area of the body. Again, once you lead out into the neck or out into the tail, they kind of taper off and disappear, which I think also looks pretty nice. And you can again see the scale detail looks fantastic leading out into the tail. You have a nice curve in the tail, nice natural look, yet again kind of making it look like it would be swimming along, but at the same time kind of looks like it could be sunbathing. And then you also have a very different style of scaling leading down the center of the tail on the underside. Those same style of scales here as far as like the regular scaling you see here running along the tail on the sides, but here on the underside, the main underside, you could see a different look to the scales. But you can also see again that the feet and everything here on the underside of the opposing side look great. Yet again, you can really feel like you could see the bone structure there leading out into the leg from the body. Absolutely awesome detailing. And then when we actually turn it over here, you can see that there is a turn in the neck. It is turning slightly away from this side, so it's leaning toward the left, and there's a slight tilt in the head, which you can kind of see there from the front, but it's not anything that's super dramatic that you're going to see a huge difference over here. You can kind of pick out like some tensing, though, in the neck, especially right here. And then leading back here into the body, you can see how now the legs are kind of facing the back, especially this one looks like it basically just paddled through some water right there, again showing off the swimming appearance to the figure. But you can also, again, just in general, see how incredibly nice both the sculpting and paintwork is of the figure. You see the smooth transitions leading out into the hands as far as those grays to the light grays. I absolutely love that light gray that they've applied to the tips of the feet. Like the edges of the feet look great as far as the coloration goes. Again, I might have said hands. I don't know why I keep saying that, but I meant feet. But again, a really smooth transition leading out into there. But as a whole, this is a gorgeous looking version of a Nothosaurus, and we don't have any, again, that I can even think of. I don't know anybody that has a figure of this one out. But as far as this one goes, it is absolutely awesome. As far as the size goes, for a length, you are looking at right around the 8¼ inch range, or just shy of 21 centimeters. You're really not going to get much of a measurement anywhere else. The height is very low to the ground. There's not much of a width or anything. So for a size comparison, there is the Schleich Tyrannosaurus Rex next to the Nothosaurus, and you can get a pretty good idea, I think, of the size and the fact that the Nothosaurus is definitely a good bit smaller than a lot of other Schleich figures. Although if you do have the Plesiosaurus from Schleich, I would say it's a fairly similar size to that figure. I actually don't have that one to bring in and compare it with, but I would say I have seen it at some stores nearby, and I would say that's a pretty similar size to the Plesiosaurus from Schleich. And then for another comparison, there is the Amargasaurus for the 2022 year next to the Nothosaurus, again showing off the size of those two figures next to each other. And then we have classic Schleich with their Apatosaurus next to the Nothosaurus. And you can get a pretty good idea, again, of the fact that this Nothosaurus is definitely a bit on the smaller side. But then again, I have been bringing in a lot of larger figures. So for a smaller one, there is the Diabloceratops from Schleich next to the Nothosaurus. Again, a smaller figure from Schleich next to kind of a smaller figure here with the Nothosaurus. I would say the Nothosaurus is probably smaller, approaching medium size range as far as the way that I see it. So this brand new 2022 Nothosaurus from Schleich is an absolutely awesome release. I was so psyched to hear that they were making one of these because, again, there are just no figures out there really of it that I can think of. So to have one coming from anyone was really exciting, but to have one from Schleich coming was even more exciting if you ask me, because I know Schleich is so good at applying the dark wash, and I could almost envision this figure from the start when they were making it and how good the scale detail usually is on any Schleich figure, and then again how good they are at highlighting that scale detail with their paint applications. So I was really looking forward to seeing the final product of this figure, and I can say that it 100% has lived up to my expectations. It is a fantastic looking sculpt, very nice naturalistic pose for the animal, beautiful scale detail running the course of the entire figure, and I love all the different varying scales that they have, different styles of scales, different sizes of scales, really nice and lifelike appearance to it. And again, in some areas you can really almost feel like you can see the bone structure and everything. It just looks so lifelike. I also like the fact that we have the appearance of the body in a way that you can kind of perceive it as looking like it's swimming or even sunbathing. So it's kind of up to you how you perceive it. I like that appearance to the model. I like that you can display it either way, no matter what you would like to have it looking like it's doing or displaying it as. You can pull that off quite nicely with this figure. The paint job as well looks very nice naturalistic tones for the figure. I like the kind of spotted appearance through the course of the body with the light gray and the way it plays off of the darker gray. I also love the transition down into the feet from the dark gray to the lighter gray, and all of the paintwork is very precise, very nicely applied. And I think, honestly, as a whole, Schleich nailed it. This figure is really well done and a huge recommendation from me. So if you are interested in picking this up, I'll include a link in the description to where you can do that on the Schleich website. So make sure you check that link, head on over there, purchase yourself this fantastic Nothosaurus, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.